Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 71. This is now part 2. We're continuing on with the Ultra member submissions. Let's see what this one's about. Why you can never argue with a conspiracy theorist.
If I were to tell you that the world is not in fact a sphere, but actually a flat disk, you'd probably point to photographs like these of Earth from space. And then I'd say, hey, if you want to trust the space agencies to tell you the truth, go ahead. But if you ask me, they're part of a conspiracy to lie to you. And then you'd say, what about the fact that if you fly in one direction long enough, you end up in the same place? Ha! That's just what the Illuminati wants you to think. That's why they control the flight patterns, to make you think you're going in a straight line when you're actually flying in a circle. This is Argument Clinic, a series about spotting bad arguments on the internet, where today we're talking about conspiracy theories. There's one out there for everybody. The JFK assassination, the fake moon land, the Freemasons, chemtrails, CIA mind control, rigged election, Area 51. Once you get going, it's easy to see secret plots and shadowy cabals everywhere you look. In all of these cases, people can point to evidence disputing some of these claims. The photos of Neil Armstrong on the moon, the Warren Commission report, the studies that keep showing that vaccines work. To which you will inevitably hear, you think the people who faked the moon landing couldn't gin up a couple of phony photos? Wake up, sheeple! And there's the problem. Any evidence that would seem to contradict the conspiracy is further proof of the conspiracy. It cannot be disproven. Or, to use a term from science, it is not falsifiable. A hypothesis is falsifiable if you could imagine a way to prove it wrong through observation. So let's say I've only ever seen white swans, and so I assume that all swans are white. This is a falsifiable claim, because if I were ever to see a black swan, it would be disproven. Pretty simple, really. Philosopher Karl Popper came up with the idea of falsifiability in his 1934 treatise, Logik der Forschung. He was German. He was trying to figure out why Albert Einstein's theory of relativity felt more rigorous than, say, Karl Marx's theory of history, or Sigmund Freud's theories of psychoanalysis. Marx's and Freud's followers pointed out that those theories could explain pretty much anything that ever happened. Open the newspaper and you could interpret almost every story through the lens of Marx's ideas. As for Freud, you could explain just about every action someone took as a response to their parents, or repression, or sublimation. But to Popper, this wasn't a feature of these theories, but a bug. These theories had explanatory power, but no predictive power. Einstein, on the other hand, made specific predictions about, for instance, how light traveled. Predictions that, if disproven, would invalidate his entire theory. Popper said that's what separated science from pseudoscience. As he wrote, every good scientific theory is a prohibition. It forbids certain things to happen. And the more a theory forbids, the better it is.
That's wow, what an interesting statement. The more that a theory forbids, the better it is. True theory should limit, not grant. Conspiracy theory simply grants things. Oh, there's aliens. Oh, there's a rigged election. Oh, vaccines cause illness in children, so don't ever vaccinate your kids of anything. Oh, the moon landing was fake. They're just granting wild claims, as opposed to a true theory limits claims. That's very interesting. I never thought of it that way. Okay. Because when you put limits on things, you basically now are creating a rule set by which you can live, you can predict, you can judge, and you can create within that rule set. As opposed to the other way, you're just saying everything is possible. Well, then you're not helping anything, right? How have you helped anything by just saying, oh, everything is completely possible? No, we need to know what is and isn't possible so we can work within the confines of what's real to make solutions to problems, right? If you don't have those confines, well, everything's just possible. You're never going to find a solution to anything, right? You don't have any limits to work within. So there you go. I think that's very interesting. I never even thought about it that way. That's a really good take and a really good video right there. That one could teach you a lot. My camera not all the way out to the edge? It's not, is it? Pet peeve of mine. That's better. It's a pet peeve of mine with my camera. There we go. It doesn't fill the frame. Okay, good. That's a good one. Oh, it's a very short video. We can keep going, but wow, that was really cool right there.
It sounds strange, but good scientists and technologists actually spend a lot of time trying to disprove their theories, not prove them. Astro Teller, who runs X, Alphabet's fanciful moonshot division that builds self-driving cars and Wi-Fi delivering hot air balloons, says he rewards engineers who prove that ideas won't work.
That's it. That's the secret.
By the way, it was 8 years ago before X was Twitter. That's the company he's talking about, though. Elon Musk's company.
Run at all the hardest parts of the problem first. Get excited and cheer, hey, how are we going to kill our project today?
Maybe you've spotted the sticky part here. The logical endpoint of falsifiability is that nobody can ever completely prove anything. You can never know if someone won't someday discover something that invalidates everything you thought was true. Like if you're Isaac Newton, who totally locked down the laws of physics until quantum mechanics showed he was mostly wrong. But that doesn't mean what the cousin you muted on Facebook thinks it means. Calling evolution just a theory doesn't mean it's wrong or a guess. A theory has a structure that allows for dispositive evidence. It could potentially be proven wrong someday if new evidence refutes it. So far, evolution has withstood every challenge, which has only made the theory more powerful. Falsifiability doesn't weaken the theory of evolution, it strengthens it. And the opposite is also true. If a theory is not falsifiable, it's not worth debating. So remember that the next time your cousin wants to argue that lizard aliens beneath the White House run international banking. That's probably just the chemtrails talking.
Well, that was a pretty good video. I like that. I never thought of it that way. So basically, any conspiracy theory that basically says, oh, all this crazy stuff could be possible is bullshit. You need to find a good theory that disproves stuff rather than just tries to unlimitedly prove crazy, wild, nonsensical stuff. And that's the good stuff. That's why Einstein, you know, is so well regarded in that, you know, in that field. He's the one who came up with that theory that limited so much that then we were able to expand science greatly based on that. That's cool. I mean, at the same time, too, you have to understand, which he didn't address, why are conspiracy theories so popular, right? Because people just like to wildly believe nonsense. They find it entertaining, right? Believing every conspiracy theory leads to a lot of drama, leads to a lot of the kind of things that, oh my God, now my life is exciting. Do you want to know the kind of people who believe conspiracy theory? Very boring people. People who their lives are very trite, meaningless, repetitive. They don't have much going on. So they have to start believing in the wild and nonsensical because it makes them feel like there's a purpose. You see what I'm saying? People who are busy with a life full of positive, interesting things don't go off the deep end into conspiracy. They don't need to. They're too busy with real life shit. Do you understand? So when you find these people, these entire communities online that follow conspiracy theories, understand those are people who basically are bored and boring and have nothing to do. And this is why they're following those to begin with, right? That's why they all want to entertain the most dramatic, fantastical notions, because the reality around them is very, very boring. Most of us don't have time for that shit, you know? I would never in my life start fucking following crazy conspiracy theories about shit. Anything that I talk about is based off my factual observations of how things are laid out, not something I pulled out of my asshole, you know, like these people fucking make up. Okay, how Singapore got crazy rich.
This tiny island nation is smaller than New York City, but it's the wealthiest country in Asia and one of the richest in the world.
Its GDP per capita itself has surpassed the likes of the UK, the US, France, and other developed countries.
I'm not surprised.
Over 6 decades, Singapore has transformed itself from a colonial trading port to a buzzing financial center that's envied the world over. And it's held up as an example for any country.
And how did it do it? So let's see.
To prosper. When Singapore became independent in 1965, the first Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew and other founding leaders recognized it had an economic problem. It had no natural resources. So if they wanted to develop an export-led economy and attract foreign capital, they would need to build up the country's manufacturing industry. Its location gave it an edge.
It has access to the Straits of Malacca, to the Indian Ocean, to the South China Sea, which makes it a pivotal shipping hub.
So it did this initially by transforming Singapore into a manufacturing base, with a focus on labor-intensive industry at first to wipe out the high unemployment.
Okay.
But Lee only ever intended manufacturing as a stepping stone to a more developed economy.
He laid the fundamentals, which is a solid financial and legal system, stable and largely clean government, making sure that the public transport system is efficient, has world-class healthcare infrastructure.
In the 1980s, Lee started laying the groundwork for what is now Singapore's biggest source of wealth, finance. Following the lead of places like the US and UK, he liberalized the financial services industry with lighter touch regulation. The legacy of that approach is evident today.
Yeah, look at all the banks.
4,200 multinational companies have regional headquarters here.
Okay. And then he turned it into a tourist destination.
With its prime location, Singapore had to become a destination in itself. That's been key to Singapore's success. It had embarked on an ambitious land reclamation project in the 1970s. Over the years, that space was filled with not just offices and apartment buildings, but entertainment hubs, changing the city's skyline in the process.
One example was bringing in the F1 night race.
The government also welcomed casinos, or integrated resorts as they're called in Singapore.
And the timing was impeccable because the Chinese and Indian economies were booming.
And now we know, as we've seen many videos in the last couple of years, they have tons of food, big tourist destination stuff to do. It's a cool place to go if you're, you know, looking for entertainment. It's actually a big place to go. Just expensive, right? We saw some of the prices of food and stuff are insane there, although you can still get good food on the cheap as well.
In 2022. While Singapore has been an economic success, its leadership is criticized by some for the restrictions on civil liberties and the media.
Which we've talked about. For example, the reason that they don't have a lot of pollution and traffic is because it's incredibly expensive to have a car. Not only do you have to buy a car, then you need to have a license. I think they said it was 3 to 5 years. You have to spend the same cost of the car to have a license to drive it. So basically you're buying the car, and then you're buying the car, and then you're buying the car, and then you're buying the car over the course of 10 years. So it's so expensive, most people don't drive. So that's how they keep down pollution. It's like, so you restricted the freedom of the people, and that's how you caused it to be a better country. But is that a good trade-off? And a lot of people disagree on that.
Freedom of the press, freedom of the news media must be subordinated to the overriding needs of the integrity of Singapore.
Under Lee Kuan Yew's governance, one of the chief criticisms is that there was this climate of fear in Singapore. People were afraid to criticize the government.
Subsequent governments.
Exactly right. Pizza W Ranch says, so they're just going to push you to depend on public transportation? Exactly. And since they push you to depend on it, guess what? You don't have as much freedom as if you could just drive around and do whatever you want. And guess what? That means less crime. Get it? Because everything you do in life in Singapore is limited. If you live there, you don't think about going outside of the realm of what they want you to do. Your life is just solely this loop of how they want you to live it. A lot of people like that life and are okay with that and don't care. They prefer to live in that country because low crime, you know, good healthcare, good food, everything there they like. But other people who like more freedom say this country is completely ass backwards.
This also face criticism for maintaining a tight grip. Protests are still largely illegal.
See?
The government is definitely cognizant that its population is changing. It is much more diverse. It is much more vocal.
At the same time, Singapore needs to stay competitive as other countries learn from its model of growth, and climate change is becoming a threat to national security. This is the Singapore that Lawrence Wong is inheriting as the country's new Prime Minister. Wong, who grew up in public housing, earned praise for his leadership in the country's COVID-19 response. He's seen as having more of a common man's touch.
We should build on what we have today. We should affirm and reinforce what works well for Singapore.
While the People's Action Party still forms the ruling government, its popularity is declining.
There will be that politicking that will happen, much more intensely in the years to come than there was ever before.
The buildup of wealth has brought problems of its own. Housing prices have increased, the cost of living has gone up.
Part of Singapore's growth model has been to attract foreign labor. But too much foreign worker inflow raises concerns by the citizens that the foreigners are taking too many of the good jobs.
If you just look at the numbers, inequality has been reduced, but that's not how some residents feel. The country's rapidly aging population is also going to add pressure to workforce growth and government spending. So, whether it's managing discontent or guiding Singapore's continued evolution into a tech hub, Wong's job is to sustain the city-state's hard-earned success.
So even a country that they claim is so perfect has its problems. That's kind of interesting. This next video is very pertinent. For those who don't know, the Olympics are going to start soon. In just a couple of weeks, I believe, right? I think it's mid to late July 2024 in Paris. And this is from a few years ago, a list of all the different Olympic games. And we were wondering, what are the Olympic Games in the modern day? Well, we're going to find out. Let's watch this video. This will be the end of this part.
This video includes all sports list of Paris Olympic Games 2024. Hope you will enjoy the video.
Like AI to me.
Number 1.
Archery.
Archery.
That's very common. That's been in tons of them.
Number 2.
Yep.
Artistic gymnastics.
Wow, this is a completely AI-generated video, by the way.
Number 3. Artistic swimming.
They used to call it synchronized swimming. I guess it's artistic swimming now.
Number 4. Athletics.
Right, and athletics covers a ton, right? Track and field, all kinds of different athletic competitions. I wonder if that covers weightlifting as well, or if it's just considered athletics is the outdoor stuff. I'm not sure.
There are sub-events like running events, throwing events, and jumping events. If you want to get to know about those events, there is a video about all events in athletics. There is a link of it on the description below.
I am totally real.
Number 5. Badminton.
Badminton? I forgot that they even do that at the Olympics.
Number 6. Basketball.
That's been around for a long time, the basketball.
Number 7.
Huh?
Basketball 3x3.
I had no idea they had 2 different basketball events. Interesting.
Number 8. Beach volleyball.
That's a classic. Everyone talks about beach volleyball every year. Everyone watches it.
Number 9.
Whoa.
BMX freestyle.
I didn't know BMX was at the Olympics.
Number 10.
Yeah, I had no idea about this.
BMX racing.
It's all bicycle racing. I didn't know that.
Number 11. Boxing.
Boxing's fascinating because I wonder how different the boxing is at the Olympics than, like, the professional sport of boxing. I wonder if the rules are different, and I wonder who actually participates.
Number 12.
What?
Breakdancing.
Breakdancing is an Olympic sport now? First I've heard of it. Breakdancing at the London Olympics. How long has that been, or is this a new one?
Number 13. Canoe kayak. Flat water.
Oh yeah, canoe. Yeah, I knew that.
Number 14.
The slalom.
Canoe kayak. Slalom.
The slalom's exciting, actually. You gotta kick all those turns.
Number 15.
Diving, yep.
Diving.
Very common. That's been around forever.
Number 16.
Yep.
Equestrian.
Different horse races and jumps and performance, yep.
Number 17.
Fencing's always fun, but kind of boring, too.
Fencing.
Because it's so technical, it's actually not that fun to watch.
Number 18.
Wait a minute, what?
Football.
What kind of football is this? I don't remember this. That's not what it looks like here.
Number 19.
Golf?
Golf.
I had no idea golf was at the Olympics.
Number 20. Handball.
I don't know what handball actually is.
Number 21.
Look at this.
Hockey.
They call it hockey, but that's actually field hockey because there's field hockey and ice hockey. So that's field hockey they're showing there right there.
Number 22.
Judo. That's cool.
Judo.
Judo is cool. Boss people around.
Number 23.
Oh, really?
Marathon swimming.
I had no idea marathon swimming was in it either.
Number 24. Modern pentathlon.
If you do all 5 of those, holy shit.
Number 25. Mountain bike.
Mountain biking.
Number 26. Rhythmic gymnastics.
Oh, rhythmic rhythm. Or rhythmic ribbon, excuse me.
Number 27.
Mario and Sonic Olympic Games.
Road cycling.
Dude, there's a lot of stuff on freaking bicycles.
Number 28. Rowing.
Those are the long boats, right? The super long boats.
Number 29.
Rugby, too?
Rugby.
I didn't know they did rugby.
Number 30.
Sailing? Oh, yeah, it's a race,
Sailing.
right? Sailing race?
Number 31.
Shooting competitions.
Shooting.
Yep. How many people you can kill in a short amount of time? Wait, what? Huh?
Number 32. Skateboarding.
Skateboarding, I think they added that a while ago, actually.
Number 33. Sport climbing.
Oh, really? They have a timed climb?
Number 34.
Wow, there's a lot. How many are
Surfing.
there? How many events are there? 45.
Number 35. Swimming.
Also known as Phelpsing, they call that.
Number 36.
Table tennis, yep.
Table tennis.
Forgot about that. Table tennis.
Number 37.
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo.
Very different from judo.
Number
Regular
38.
tennis.
Tennis. Number 39.
Oh, so
Track
cycling on a
cycling.
specialized track and a specialized bike. I see.
Number 40. Trampoline.
Trampoline, why don't they just say gymnastics? Are they going to do 5 separate gymnastics?
Number 41.
The triathlon.
Triathlon.
See, I knew about the triathlon. I didn't know about the one where you do those 5 things. That's crazy. There's like fencing and shooting in that, too.
Number
Volleyball,
42.
yep. A lot of people. There's beach volleyball and
Volleyball.
regular volleyball. Don't ask me why, because they're almost the same.
Number 43.
Water polo, which is basically volleyball in
Water
water.
polo. Number
Okay,
44.
weightlifting. I said weightlifting.
Weightlifting. Number 45.
And wrestling.
Wrestling.
Where's the professional gaming? I don't understand. Why is there no gaming competition, right? Where's the League of Legends competition? Anyway. All right. Thank you for watching DSP versus the internet. That's fascinating. And I'll see you in the next part. All right. Consider becoming a member today, and maybe we'll be watching your videos next week. Thanks, and see you in the next one.